Welcome back to the Dice Tower Winter Spectacular. I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Mike Delisio.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Z Garcia.
All right, before we get started in today's big top 10 here, with the top 10 surprises of 2022, I want to do some thank yous to some of our Kickstarter backers. We want to say thank you to Daniel Weitzman, Joshua Rathkamp, David Thomas, Kevin Burkhardsmeyer, Lee Cheeseman, DJ Dole,
Yeah.
Paul O'Shea, Courtney Wilson, Sean B. Roberts, Borja Hernandez Gonzalez, and Kurt Evans. Alrighty, well, so as we do our top 10s every year, there are so many games that I love to talk about, and to that end I make a top 10 and then I make another top 10, my next top 10. But this is different than that. These are my biggest surprises over the course of the year. Pleasant surprises. We normally, as we do the Dice Tower Winter Spectacular, we don't want to like really sit there and go, these are the biggest disappointments of the year, because I don't have enough time to do number one Mike Delisio or whatever.
I could do like 10 top 10.
This list already has a lot of trauma for me, so let's
Really? Why?
Because there's going to be 55 furnace jokes in the chat if there haven't been already. So.
Oh, I forgot about that.
There were
would not
two.
have
So far,
remembered.
there have been two.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
There were half a dozen in the last stream, too, in
There
anticipation.
you go. I made a mistake. I'm fallible, okay? Kinda. Sorta.
Foilable. All right, so for this list, we did pick games that are not in our top 10.
Right.
So it is
That is
possible that one of our top 10 games, and for me at least one of them, was like, oh, wow, this surprised me, but it was also so good at top 10.
Yes.
These don't make the top 10, but these are all very pleasant surprises. This was my number one on this list. I instantly knew what it was. Actually, I knew my top 2 instantly. Other than that, though, I was going through the list. I was like, yes. I wasn't expecting much out of that game, or I didn't know what to expect. And I liked it.
Right, yeah.
Did you rank these from number one as the most surprising?
I did.
That's
To a
what I
degree.
did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Also-
like, wow, I really like this game, and it kind of came out of nowhere for me.
I think we're going to have at least one 3-way crossover and possibly more.
2 3-way
Interesting.
crossovers.
You
No
think
4-way?
I don't think so.
I doubt
No.
it very highly.
I'm going to say there were 2 3-way crossovers, and one shows up on 5 lists.
The People's Choice?
It's on Mike's list twice.
Do we have a People's Choice for this?
One
We
of
don't,
them is
do
going
we?
to be Furnace again.
There you go. We don't have a People's Choice on this, right?
Come on, you're ruining my joke. I was going to do my
I'm
number 10
sorry.
as Furnace.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was thinking about
can
it
still
too.
do
but
it.
That's all right.
Tom, you can still do it.
Nah.
My mic is lower. All right, well,
We'll fix. We'll
let's make sure I'm not on mute again. I'm not, right, this time?
No,
All right.
you're peeking because you're yelling. I see.
Okay, I'll stop
Why are
yelling.
you yelling, okay? Calm
stop
down.
yelling.
Relax, Tom.
All right, we don't want to blather too much about this year. Let's get started.
Blather, blather, blather.
Blathering blatherskites, Mike.
Blah, blah, blah.
My number 10 is a game that it surprised me in that when I saw the cover and kind of heard a description for it, I thought, okay, this is going to be a cute, kind of a kid's game. It felt like a kid game for little children that don't know how to play real games. No, I'm just kidding. I just expected a different experience to what I got, which is a almost mid-weight Euro game. My number 10 is First Rat. I was really taken aback because, you look at the cover and even you see the board and the components, and you're like, okay, this is going to be, a light, breezy, and it has elements to that. It's not rules heavy at all, which I appreciate. It's pretty streamlined in its rule set. But this is very much a Euro game that you could play with, people that play more heavy games. You can play it with people that play some lighter games. I think it skews, more to heavy than it does to light, quite honestly.
Right.
And, really impressive design. I was very happy with it. I enjoyed the game quite a bit. But the surprise was this is one of those games I feel like what you see, the cover, the aesthetics, kind of belie the experience. You know what I mean? It's a different experience than at least I was expecting. And so that's why it showed up on my surprise list. It's a very good game. It's in the top half of the games I played this year for sure. But I was mostly surprised because you see the theme, you see the art, I was expecting one thing, and I got something quite a bit different. Very good. First Rat, my
I don't know if
number
that's
10.
like glowing praise. It's in my top half. Just
No, I think
no,
I,
51%.
No,
I think
I
I
like the
agree with
game.
you, Mike, that it seems to me this year was a kind of like an indie critical darling. It's not indie. It's not like necessarily from
Sure.
a particularly small company. I'm just saying one of those under the radar, unexpected,
Yeah.
surprise kinds of games
Yep.
for a lot of people, I think.
Right.
Because this kept getting played at conventions of ours and all that. And again, the general reaction was, oh, wow. Not what I thought this would be.
Right.
Yes.
There's more game here than I
Yes,
thought. You know,
100%.
I avoided it like a plagued rat. Okay, I refuse.
You still haven't played it?
I have not played it. I will not play it. Okay, I don't play games with rats.
You don't play games for children.
No,
Little
thank you.
children
I
who
want
can't
games
play
about
games.
serious things.
Well, then give us a serious game here.
All right, fine. My number
Be mindful
10
of something.
is about important oxygen and plants giving us the oxygen we need
Yep.
Oh.
for the living and the breathing and the whatnot. My number 10 is Planted.
Oh, I thought you were going with something different. Okay.
No, that's coming up later.
Okay.
Whatever he's thinking of. I don't know.
I hope something different's coming up later.
Planted here is, again, it was one of those kind of mass marketing games. We got it here at Target. It was a follow-up somewhat. I mean, not really, but it was the second game that Phil Walker Harding and Buffalo, who was putting this out at Target, had done together. The first one was that camping one.
Summer camp.
Summer
last
camp,
year, yeah.
which was neat. We were all like, oh, wow, this is cool. Okay,
Yeah.
nice. Then this comes along. It's a very light drafting game, but the components was a big part of the surprise here.
No kidding.
Where this came out and it was, I don't know, $29.99 or something, so fairly affordable, about what you'd expect to get for one of these Target-only games. The components were insanely cool. Screen-printed
So nice.
bits, wooden drops that were these neat plastic things, the little plastic sunshine tokens. Artwork, insane artwork, just gorgeous-looking game. The little baggies, which were completely unnecessary, but the components live in these little baggies, drawstring things. Yeah, it just sort of, again, if you told me, oh yeah, this was a Kickstarter and they unlocked a couple of stretch goals here, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I believe all of that. And yet, this was available for $29.99, I think.
Think back 5 years to Target exclusive games, right?
No.
The level of design improvement.
That was a bad year for Z 5 years ago.
Right. Well, yeah,
It was
exactly.
terrible.
2017 garbage.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is amazing the level of games that you can get at big box stores now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It really is. It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a really good pick. I like that one a lot.
you
Also
go.
a game for children.
Yeah. Again.
Well, what's yours? Is it a Mattel Sarah game?
My number 10 is a game for children.
Deuce.
It's called Oathsworn.
Oh, fair.
And by for children, I mean takes up more mass and weight than most average children.
Also a $30 game. Fun fact.
Yeah.
$30 per mission.
So this is a big old adventure game. This is just huge. It comes in 4 boxes, up to if you get the full Kickstarter all-in pledge, which when I saw you carry that in, I thought, I'm out. There's no way I'm going to like this.
There's no way I'm going to help him carry this in.
That is actually what I said, yes.
This is why my back's going out.
Because of Kickstarter.
Yeah, mostly.
You can send a medical bill to Kickstarter.
I think
you
that's
go.
actually a reasonable thing.
I like this one. There's a very smart game where you have 2 different phases of adventuring and storytelling in one part, and then a really great boss battler in the second. And I don't know, I have a tendency to look at big games like this and think, probably big dumb game. This is not. This is big dumb smart game. It's
Yeah. Well, we'll parse that later. Go ahead.
No, go for it. Parse it now,
I
Michael.
like it. I like that. That's a good description.
big, dumb,
You're gonna
smart
quote that
game.
on the back of the box.
The big, dumb, smart, small game.
Chrissy.
Chris Yee.
No, it's great.
Professor Chrissy.
Yeah, Professor Chrissy. It's so solid, it's so fun, and yeah, it allows me to have enough fun to kind of look past the fact that it comes in so much stuff, and it comes in a non-over-the-top deluxe version as well, and that's something I would actually pull out and play.
This has been such a love fest, this game at the Dice Tower. I need to play this.
You haven't played it
I
at
haven't
all?
played this one, yeah. Everyone seems to love it.
I need to replay it, honestly, because
Yeah.
it's been a long time. But yeah, I'm surprised that
We've
so
not
many people
played
with
this one
such different
live.
tastes
Right.
liked it.
I was not in the live play of it. No, that was before I got
It was
here.
played
before
it
I got here
live.
even.
We played it live way back in the
Way
day.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Might be a fun one to do as a catch-a-palooza sometime.
All right.
My number 10 is one of the more divisive games in the Dice Tower because I know some people here did not like it. I liked it. I like every game this company does, but this one looked different, and I didn't know what to expect, and it's a very different game than what they normally do. And that's Nightfall.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so this is
Okay,
from Red
okay.
Raven Games. Red Raven
Okay.
Games normally makes big, grandiose, near and far, above and below, and of course, Sleeping Gods, the big giant one. Nightfall, you looked at it, it's not that's a cool cover, but the board doesn't look that fascinating.
It's a smaller game than that cover would make it
Yeah,
seem.
there you go. That's the whole game you're looking at there, basically. And it's also a well, there's multiple ways to play it, but there's team versus team, which is the way I like playing the best. And I just wasn't expecting something so quick, fast, down and dirty like. It's just not what Lockett normally makes at all.
Well, it's not his design, but I mean, he was involved in it.
Sure, but
development,
he was
yeah.
involved with developing it. It's just
Yeah.
not okay. It's not the games his company makes.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. And again, the opinions here widely vary on this. I know you're not a huge fan of it.
I barely remember it.
Yeah. Well, okay. I remember your opinion of it. Zia did not like it as
Yeah,
that much.
that's fine. I believe you because I don't remember it that well.
And I don't think Camilla didn't like it. Roy liked it. And different people like different things. I don't remember what you thought about it.
I haven't tried it.
He
I
was
was
playing
in
Old
between.
Sworn
I
at
want
the
to say it
time.
was 7, maybe.
Were you surprised?
Yeah, I liked it.
Were you surprised by it because it's a non-Lockett design, or
I was surprised by it. Just it was a very different game than I was expecting.
got it? Okay.
That's my surprise on this one. Not necessarily I thought it was bad, but I also wasn't as excited about it because I was like, oh, it's not Ryan Lockett, first of all.
Sure.
And B, when I saw it, I was like, oh, Nightfalls. It sounds like a cool name. Also a great Batman book.
Great Batman arc, yeah.
But when I saw it, I was like, and I read the rules, and even reading the rules didn't get me excited. But playing, I was like, this was really fun. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So Nightfall.
My number 9 is on here because it has helped contribute to me taking an introspective look at myself, sitting myself down in a corner, looking in a mirror and going, Mike DeLisio,
Are we getting serious here?
you used to say that you don't like hidden movement games very much.
Oh, I know what this one is.
Last year, one of my favorite games of the year, Mind Management, came out. It's now my favorite hidden movement game.
You now like
But-
this genre.
Not far behind it, likely because of designs like my number 9, which is Sniper Elite. I really, again, bounced off of most hidden movement games I'd played up until the last couple of years. I liked Whitechapel. I thought that was a fine game. Fury of Dracula didn't do it for me. There were 2 or 3 others that I
You like
played.
Scotland Yard, the grandfather.
It's for little children, Tom. It's fine. It's fine, but it's it didn't really stick. It wasn't something I was like, oh yeah, let's play this. So I used to say, yeah, I'm not really into that, And so I've come to find that it depends on the design. And this is a really, really smart hidden movement one versus many game. I remember playing the prototype, or maybe not prototype, but an early version with you, and we had such a good experience. And then the production copy came out, and we played that, and it was great. So this is a surprise because it is making me reevaluate. I need to be careful about making these blanket statements that I don't like a particular genre. Maybe I just haven't come across the right ones yet. This is a really good one, and now I feel less compelled to say I don't like a
Again,
particular
I
genre.
feel like this can't be a genre you dislike when you like those games that
Right.
much.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. It's making me. I won't say that anymore. There are
Mike
certain.
is a liar.
Well, sure. If you want to go in that direction, Tom.
I also went to the corner and looked in the mirror, and I saw Mike DeLisio because I'm
Yeah.
a vampire. But no, I was really close to putting this one
Was
on
he
my
about to
surprise
kill you
list.
from behind?
Yes. With a big old wooden stake. He's a sniper.
Good
no,
choice, Mike.
I really like this one, Mike.
Yeah.
And it was very close to making my surprise list, too.
Nice.
My number 9 is Marvel Dice Throne. Now, I'm not I've played a little bit of Dice Throne in the past.
Yeah, that's right.
Before Marvel came out, but a little bit. I wasn't super into it.
Yeah.
For one thing, the theme was not something that interested me, which was like Gunslinger versus Ninja or something, and I'm like, that seems really stupid. I'm not
Tom.
interested. I know you love.
I love that. I don't know why.
Yes, but you've always loved anachronistic stuff.
Right. Smash up.
And that big one that they
Although,
tried to
ironically, I
Heroescape.
don't like anachronism the game.
And no, but that's like, that's because you don't like that game.
Right.
The game's so tiny and random. But you've always enjoyed that idea, and I
Duel
really
of
don't.
Ages,
I'm not a
yeah.
big fan of that, generally. But when they and when they announced this and they made this, I thought the artwork was fantastic. And the thing that surprised me more than anything was how these characters feel like my idea of who these characters are. This idea of, Black Panther has that suit that charges up and then he explodes.
Yeah.
They got that in the game.
Vibranium, baby.
Vibranium, baby. I like the feeling of it. Loki, you just saw up there. Again, that idea of he's tricking you. He's always tricking you. You can never corner him. You can never catch him. They really nailed that feeling. And again, these are original designs, not reskins of the gunslinger or the ninja or whatever. And I thought that was really well made. So this one kind of came out of nowhere. I figured I like Marvel, but the combination between Dice Throne and Marvel, I was not expecting to enjoy as much as I did. This ended up, like, I'm not interested pretty much in any other Dice Throne thing, but Marvel Dice Throne,
Every time Z brings out it now, he'll be like, I'm playing Loki. I'll be like, I'm the gunslinger.
Yeah.
You said you like it. Deal with it.
I remember Z was very reluctant to play this Marvel Dice Throne for the first time. He was like, let me play this piece of trash. He was visibly ill, physically
I think
ill.
This has too much Marvel. Too much Marvel
there's
right
too
now.
much Marvel right now.
much
That is the general consensus.
1/6 of the list so far is Marvel.
That's correct.
Yeah.
This is a good choice.
Buckle-
This
buckle in.
This is a good choice.
For all the other Marvel games that came out this year.
It's happening. All right, there we go.
Now I'm quickly checking my list. Okay, I can say that. Go ahead.
My number 9 also is a big overproduced game like my number 10 a little bit. I mean, overproduced, of course, being a broad generality here. This is one that Mike turned me on to this year. It's called Burn Cycle.
Oh, your surprise list surprised me, sir.
Okay, this is the first time we've talked about Bird Cycle on this channel, isn't it?
No,
I feel-
it was in my top games. I think it was my number 5 solo game.
I
of the
don't
year.
watch that stuff, but yes.
Well, you know, get on board, Tom.
Yeah, only Mike watches those lists.
Watch that stuff. Wow.
All right.
Wow.
No, Burn Cycle is a really cool game from Chip Theory Games. It's cooperative. You have a little bit of this kind of cyber hacking theme type going on, but you're also like busting through this office building that is made up of these nice, neat neoprene mats and stuff. It's produced, to Chip Theory levels.
Right.
But what it does that the other Chip Theory games have not done so far is it strips out a lot of the complexities, like the keywords and the difficult rules to remember. I haven't played this one a ton. I think that it would go up higher in my estimation the more I play it. It could even be, potentially top of the year. But it really surprised me that when we played it, it was very clean. It was easy to manage and run. There are a lot of different things going on, different aspects of the game, but they're all very fun. They're all working towards this very cool puzzle of getting through the floor, getting to the next floor or whatever. But I never felt like I'd sit there and say, okay, hold on, explain this card text to me. Explain this stuff to me. And if I can have a game like that has those Chip Theory levels of design and production development, I'm really excited about that.
Good call. This surprised me. Yeah, that's good.
Well, that's the list.
I know.
It's
I'm
a
just
Chip
saying.
Theory game for children, is what it
It's
sounds
a
like.
baby's first Chip
I will
Theory.
say that picture of it made it look fairly complex.
It's not easy.
No, none of their games are simple, but it's I think on the lower, specifically because of what Chris mentioned, they cut the key terms down dramatically. Like that's been most of the complexity I think in their games. It's like, okay, let me consult my 8.5 by 11 key terms chart. You don't have that here, so
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
A genre that I'm getting sick of at this point in time is
Hidden movement.
fill in a grid and then score off that grid.
can confirm he won't shut up about it.
That's true. I talk about this a lot because there's a lot of games that are doing this nowadays.
Yes.
The most recent one, Verdant, is actually one of those
Yes.
games. But there was
Yeah.
a little game that came out. Another thing that I'm sick and tired of is train games that combine these two. But this little filler really was. It's one of those games that feels heavier than it is, and that's Village
Yeah,
Wales.
I was gonna say it finally caught on when you said that.
Yeah, well, this is one that has not had very few people talking about.
Have
it
you
at all,
played
actually.
Village Green?
I have not.
Okay, it's like an iteration of that.
Okay, well, I did not know that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but Village Green is from.
So is this Osprey. They both are.
No, but isn't Village Green from a different designer?
Yeah, I think that's Pierre
Oh.
Sylvester.
Yeah, Pierre Sylvester, yeah.
And
Wait,
then they
you
kind
played
of.
Village Green with me.
I played it with you. Yeah,
No,
I
yeah,
taught it
no,
to you,
no,
but
this
I
is way
don't.
better than
I
Village
don't
Green.
expect you to
it's
remember
got a
anything
similar-
I played with
I
you.
just
so.
remembered it on
I don't
my
expect you to
own!
remember my face.
It's got a similar vibe where you're putting cards in a
better
grid
watch
and yeah.
You better not. Hang.
Okay. Anyway, actually, this is play a lot different than Village Green
Sure.
because what this is you're making little tracks that are going to end. They all start on the top or the
Right.
left,
Okay.
and then they're going to go to the right or bottom based on how you play the cards.
Like Village Green, right?
That's not like Village Green at all, because the trains might go around. But you're also collecting scoring cards and putting them on those tracks. It's really a fairly deep game, but offers only a few small choices. It's that rare game that feels heavier than it is. Is easy to understand, but I played this with. You all know that in our game group we have the high level Euro gamers who they play the high level stuff. No, not like they make Chris look like a child.
Yeah.
You know, they like this game. That blew my mind.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So I was pleased by that. I think this is a neat game that is kind of it picks that same old boring train thing that a lot of people are like they're over by now.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty solid. That's worth checking out. Village Rails.
Haven't played that one, but I probably should.
Yeah.
might
me
like
too.
Figured I'll like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, my number 8 is a game that was a surprise. Not
Good,
in-
because it's the right list here.
You're killing it.
I took like a quarter of a second pause before you two just jumped on me like wild jackals.
You have no time here.
Well, I know what it is. Walt Serengeti.
You're right. What? No. My number 8 is not a surprise because it turned out to be a good game because I've liked other games by this designer before. But it was a surprise in that when I saw it on the table and you recommended, Mike, I think you would like this game. I think you should try it. I was intimidated. The entire table was just filled with stuff. And I'm like, man, you're telling me it's not going to be heavy. You're telling me the turns go quickly. You're telling me that it's a civilization-themed game that plays much more quickly.
Mosaic.
My number 8 is Mosaic. Yeah. This fulfilled all the promises that you know, for once, Tom, you didn't lie to my face. And so I saw it and I was intimidated. You did the rules and I kept waiting for more rules. And you're like, no, let's go. This is it. And I'm like, wow, okay, I get it like right away. I didn't feel like you needed to keep explaining things throughout the game. I loved the fact that it was a civilization-themed game where there was some interaction, but it's not the type of interaction of spend 5 turns to build something up. Oh, I'm playing this card to destroy your stuff. I hate that. They didn't really have that here. I like the fact that there's a lot of times a wealth of stuff. You're getting all kinds of resources.
Oh, yeah.
And
If you
it's
like getting stuff.
it's a game that makes you feel like you are producing, you're building. And it also, more than probably any other civilization themed game I've played other than maybe Tapestry, does not focus so much on area control and area majority. It's a part of the
Are you
game.
sure? The scoring is pretty strong with that.
I never felt, I'll tell you what, I
you
never
ever
felt
won?
freaked out about, oh gosh, it was something I didn't have to be consumed by, I guess. Whereas in a lot of civilization games, I can't do a lot of the things I want to do because I'm worried that Chris or Wendy or somebody's going to get into my stuff. I didn't feel that way here. Maybe it's just a perception, maybe, but that's the way it felt to me. And so it was a very positive experience. It was a big, grandiose looking game that was not overwhelming in its rule set. I really enjoyed it. So, Mosaic.
Okay.
I approve of that choice. Good choice, Mike.
My number 8 is also a Civ game. Kind of.
Okay.
It's it's very small compared to Mosaic,
Tiny
and it
epic
is tiny epic tiling. No, it is a game called First Empires. First Empires is technically about civilizations. My big surprise here was a couple of things. Okay, this is the follow-up, the second game from Sand Castle Games after
Res Arcana.
Res Arcana, thank you, which is a game I adore. So I was a little apprehensive there for that sophomore slump. So I wasn't sure what to expect. This is from a designer whose last game, Katara, I didn't really dig that much. And his games tend to be, he is a lot like Pierre Sylvester, in which his games feel minimalistic, often, in my opinion, to the game's detriment. Like, You streamlined you flicked too hard. Darn it. That's how I feel about Eric B. Vogel's games. But this one worked for me. I thought what was there driving the system was enough mechanically. It's really, really simple. Was enough mechanically to give me some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
This felt like a little Days of Wonder game. I don't know how else to put it. You know what I mean?
That's a good way to put it.
The fact that it looks like a Days of Wonder game because it's the same artist as their old school artist, it doesn't, obviously helps that comparison. But yeah, I thought the dice-driven idea of it, the way everything worked, the having to balance. I'm really good at movement, but I don't have a lot of troops. I have a lot of troops, but they're not very mobile.
Yeah.
Or I can easily control areas, but I don't have a lot of special cards. All of that mix, that little combination there works really well.
Yeah.
It's not a revolutionary game. It was not mind-blowing, and I know that some of the people around here in the office thought it was just okay. I don't adore it,
Yeah.
but I was surprised by how neat it was considering how small it was.
Yeah. I thought it was just okay, but I thought there were some smart decisions, especially one similar to what I was saying with Mosaic, where even if your guys on the board or your troops on the board, they're not going to get wiped off, right? They're going to get maybe moved around. So you're kind of like racing for objectives more than anything else.
I agree on that.
Yeah, so I like
It
that.
surprised me, but a different way. No, I was expecting this to be a better game.
Top 10 disappointments.
Oh, yeah.
of
I
2022.
don't ever expect the sophomore slump. I expect Terminator 2 every time.
That's
Wow,
foolish.
you must have
I
a
know
very
it's foolish. I get a lot of disappointment.
I heard The
Teen
Way
Wolf
of
2.
Water.
majorly
I heard
disappointing
Avatar:
life.
The Way of Water is terrible. I don't know, folks. I'm
It's
kidding.
no Teen Wolf 2 is all I'm saying.
That's right. There you go. First Empire.
Teen Wolf 2. It's
Jason Bateman, yeah.
I know. All right.
He's great.
All right. My number, we're on 8. My number 8, I had a lot of hesitation going into this one. And I think it's fair to. It's from a company that has a pretty bad track record.
Hasn't narrowed it down yet.
It is a very anachronistic kind of theme. You want to punch Genghis Khan until he helps you take down an AR-14 or an F-14. You want to time travel and take all these different military pieces and make them fight each other.
What?
One of the
really
designers,
fun.
first-time designer, is a member of a heavy metal band
Oh,
called
geez.
Sabaton. My number
This
8
one,
is
huh?
A Battle Through History.
Oh my word.
What is this? I've never even heard.
Don't. Just let Chris talk about this and then we'll move on.
So this is there's this company that does this line of games based on different heavy metal bands. When I heard that Sabaton was coming out with a band that I really adore because all of their albums are, here's our World War I album, right? It's a concept album, talks about all these different battles and all these different important figures in history. It's like a history lesson in a CD. And then they'll do one on Genghis Khan. They'll do one on the Winged Hussars of Poland. Yeah, they are just a fantastic nerdy historical band. And they're going to make a game. And I thought, oh, I'm simultaneously excited and very nervous.
Especially after we told you about the first game they made.
Oh, they made like a Powerwolf game. They made a couple of other. I
A
think.
what? A what?
Powerwolf.
What is Powerwolf?
They're this band. I'm going to explain the entire backstory.
That's a band called Powerwolf?
You can look them up online. I made that mistake. I hate their music so very much.
Is it
Also, I
heavy
hate the
metal, though?
game. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't like
yeah.
heavy metal.
Yeah,
so
you don't
there's
like
that.
heavy metal anyway.
So this game is like a deck building game, war game where you're fighting both stuff on the board in order to recruit it. So then you can have better warriors to go fight more stuff. You can fight each other. I thought, oh no. It has a really neat little system, 3 tiers of ranged, mid-range, and then melee combat, and you go through the whole step. It's actually a competent game and fun. It's not amazing, but
I
it's
am not
competent
playing this game.
and
Does it
fun.
come with a soundtrack?
I mean,
It's on
albums
YouTube.
upon albums upon albums of soundtrack if you want to see.
That's how you do it.
The
You
Winged
gotta play-
Hussars will
Of
accompany
Poland.
you. Yeah, they'll accompany you
Yeah,
as you play
I'm
this
in.
game. All right.
Okay.
I enjoyed this one. It's not fantastic, but good enough of a surprise to make it on this list.
I wonder where this is going to end up on your list.
It's not on my list.
What do you mean?
That first one was such a bad game. Chris is not enough. He's close. I have high respect for Chris's. No, Chris is really likes some trash, but like he likes. So, but no, I just can't on principle.
Music-wise, you talking about? What?
I don't know why. It's the whole thing is dumb.
I need to hear some of this music now.
The whole thing just bothers me. I don't know why.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to play it while Tom attempts to
No,
talk.
we're gonna-
I'm going to put the
we're gonna-
speaker right
we're
against my
gonna-
mic. Here we go.
Copyright strike. All right. My number 8, I don't really have a good reason why this is on the list other than it was better than I thought because it looked almost too minimalistic. When I first saw that Gen Con, I was like, it looks okay. And that is the sequel to Photosynthesis, not really, but Evergreen.
I thought this was the game you were talking about when you talked about Planted.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
gotcha.
interesting.
Yeah, because this cover is like doesn't really do anything. It makes me think
I
the Magic
love
School Bus
that
was
cover.
like just.
You don't like that cover,
really?
really?
That covers Yggdrasil, the life tree, Tom.
I
It's
love
fine.
You would
that
know that
cover.
if you listened to Sabaton.
Yeah, there's a whole album about foliage,
Mm-hmm.
which I have never pronounced that way before.
Yeah, you put a few extra syllables in there, I think. Yeah.
That was a Tom Vassal.
Foliage.
Foliage.
Yeah.
Foliage. Foliage.
This is the most competent foliage I've ever seen.
So anyway, again, this shot here, like the game looks better in person than this. This shot does not make it look particularly good, but it doesn't look that much better. I like the game a lot, actually. Though when I heard it was a sequel to Photosynthesis, and it's not really. It's a little bit. I don't know how to explain it.
Spiritual successor.
A spiritual successor. It's the same designer though, and I had kind of fallen off his Photosynthesis pretty hard, like
Yes,
Mike.
me too.
I'm not as enjoying it, so I was like, I don't know. This one is so much more fun to me.
It really is.
Mostly because the other players are not messing me up. Although I think this game is a very, very clever endgame scoring mechanism, where everyone's taking a card, and the card that's not taken will affect endgame scoring, and that's. The other games have done that, but I always like that. I think it's a neat idea.
Yeah, I agree with you.
This one just came together in a really good package that I was surprised I enjoyed it. So, Evergreen. Also, there's a band.
It's ever clear.
All right, my number 7 is a surprise for a couple of reasons. Number one is that it's a 2-player only game, and I don't tend to enjoy those very often. I don't play them very often.
That's one player too many, says Mike.
That's correct. And the second reason is that it is a 2-player version of a previously existing game that I thought absolutely did not need a 2-player only version.
I know
Which
what
one
it
is this?
Is this
I know what
Wingspan?
it is. No.
My number
No.
7 is
Does it start with a T?
Splendor Duel.
no. Although that's a
Tokaido
good
Duo.
Tokaido Duo is my number 7.
I
Yeah.
like Z's choice better. That was a.
You haven't played Tokaido Duo, Tom, have you?
Out
No.
of principle, he hates the band.
That's right. So Tokaido is the game that Tokaido Duo was iterated from is this very zen, much better multiplayer. I don't really choose to play Tokaido as a 2-player game, which I guess makes
Because
sense.
it's not very good, which
It's
is
not
why
very-
this was needed.
I guess, but
Splendor definitely as a 2-player game.
no,
It's the same as 3 as a 4 and 4.
right, but it's also a good 2-player game.
I'm just debating out whether Splinter should have made my list because I really
Anyway,
like that 2-player variant.
I made my own argument invalid. But when I first heard this, I did say, really, why do we need Tokaido Duo?
Right.
It didn't make sense when I heard it. I thought this is probably first of all,
I'm
how?
still thinking that, so persuade me.
It's a really good 2-player game. It still maintains enough of the feel of Tokaido while being very much its own game, and it is a very good 2-player game. And it does a couple of things that I think are unique. It has multiple winning conditions, which I always like that, especially in a 2-player game where you can't focus on one thing. That you have to be conscious of what the other player is doing because they could be rushing, ahead in money, or they could be rushing ahead in a set collection type of a thing. And you are each controlling 3 different characters. You're rolling 3 dice. Those dice represent each of the 3 characters. You choose one. The second player chooses one, so you're active on everyone's turn, and then you choose that 3rd die. And I like that mechanism in a 2-player game.
Which is so different from Tokaido.
So different, yeah.
That's what makes it
right.
different
Again, it's very much its own game. But if you've played Tokaido, you're going to be like, oh yeah, okay, I can see the connections, the thematic connections, even some of the mechanical, mostly through set collection. But it's a really good 2-player game. And again, if anyone was interested in playing Tokaido, if they like the theme, if they like the idea of it, but you want to play a 2-player. Now you've got a real viable option because Tokaido at 2 is not very good. So I guess why did I think it exists? That's not a good. You're right. That wasn't a great thing to be
This is
surprised
the
about. But
opposite of what you said.
I'm aware.
Hey, Mike, I have a question for you. How do you feel about hidden movement games?
I hate them. I'm going to go stand in that corner and look in a mirror for a while.
Okay.
My number, whatever it was, 7 is Tokaido Duo. This I don't think has been widely available. I actually picked it up at Essen, but I'll be interested to see what people think when it becomes more widely available.
I did like the geometry in the game. I thought that was interesting, sort of overlapping geometry
Yes.
of the way things move.
Yeah, someone
that
moves
was
on the
cool.
outside.
Use a math term now Tom's in.
Yes.
Geometry. Okay. My number 7 has to do with the Pythagorean theorem.
No.
Tell me more.
Yes, you're in. No, it's a party game that really kind of, again, came out of nowhere, surprised me. I thought it looked cool, but I was like, usually party games, the more sort of overdone or themed they are, they start to lose something because there's too many steps, too much like garbage that gets in the way. I just want an obvious, straightforward party game. This is Phantom Inc. And I thought Phantom Inc. both retained a very specific theme, this idea of communing with a spirit or whatever to get a clue. So it retained that sort of high concept idea, which again, I think party games usually when they go too high concept, they lose me along the way with minutia, with stuff that just gets in the way. I just want to guess a card or a color or something. But that's it, cards or colors. Don't make me guess anything else. But the idea in this does come through very well. This idea of I pose a question to the spirit and they write out the answer one letter at a time until I say, okay, stop. And the other team can see what was written. They don't know the question. They just see part of the answer. And you start trying to, again, figure out what that ghost, what their clue is, what their word is, whatever. It's neat. It works well. I thought it was cool. We played this live and then immediately played it again, I think. And it's just, this is the kind of game I'm like, yeah, let's do it again. Now I want to be the ghost, or now I want to be the guesser, or whatever. I really enjoyed this one. It was a big surprise. Came out of nowhere. Just, I enjoyed it. One of my favorite party games this year, I think. So, Phantom Inc. That is my number 7.
Did you see at PAX the booth they had there with the giant like picture frame, the ink books?
Yeah, they had that at Gen Con too.
Oh, I didn't see
At
that.
PAX, they were right behind us at PAX, so that's so
I
I
was just
saw
say
it.
I saw them a couple times at PAX, which is weird since they were literally.
They were
around
literally right
I
behind
just
us.
very often walked around our home booth.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, my number 7. This belongs to a genre of game that I say I'm pretty sick of. I see new games come out in it, and I think I have no interest in really playing games of that style.
Euro games?
Yeah. 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 Good heavy
Weather
thinking
machine. I know they keep saying weather machine every time.
It's social deduction.
Okay.
So my number 7 is Feed the Kraken.
Oh.
Because for a social deduction game, a game that I say, new one comes out, good luck playing it without me. Have
Yeah.
fun. You know what I mean? It's not that I hate them. It's just that I've played so many. I've played a lot of them so many times, and it's fun. It's fine. It's fun, right? But it starts to lose its luster. And for me, I'm just at a phase maybe right now where I have no interest in playing them. But this one, it has a great presentation, the production. It looks very inviting. I looked at it and said, well, if I'm going to play one, it'll probably be that one, you know? But then the whole design, the whole development around it is so very clever, where you always have a lot of interesting things going on. There's 3 different teams. One team, the cultist, is trying to get fed to the Kraken, but that cultist can infect the other people at the table. So even though there's a good guy and a bad guy team, loyalties within those teams can also change, and people are not aware to all of that. There's layers of that social deduction going on. There's, it takes some riffs off of other games that we've seen, Secret Hitler and stuff, with some of the, 2 cards that you can look at, pass one on, and then pass some of those on and stuff. But it takes those and does something neat and fun with them. Even those cards within them, if you have 2 of the same bad guy cards, they have different abilities that the captain for the round can fire off. So you have choices within choices, sometimes even when you don't have an obvious choice. And so I thought that this one takes the genre, does some new stuff with it, and this is one I'd be happy to play again, which is convenient because I think we're playing it again this week.
Yeah, that's true. All right. My number 7 is our first crossover. And it is with you.
Planted.
That's correct. And this is again because Buffalo has been known for party games. They've made some
Yes.
good party games. I love Faces.
Imagine if they made better games.
I get what you did there.
What a stupid thing.
Huh?
Yeah, they've been also for party games, and they've made some really terrible games. So when I heard they were jumping into plant genre, which is definitely a big genre these days, plants are
Big
beating
plant.
zombies right now.
Yeah. They've been fighting for a long time.
Yeah.
Plants and zombies they're
Plants versus zombies.
Natural enemies.
classic rivals.
Brothers and sisters.
But Planted just blew my mind with just how good the production art, everything was for how low the price point was. And it was also a very competent, good game. I'll say it's better than Verdant, which just came out, which is the same category of things. I'd rather play Planet. And I think more people would rather play Planet of the general populace.
Got a
I
wider
think it's a
appeal.
more, it has a wider appeal.
Yeah.
Planted, yes.
I also love drafting, so there's that. But yeah, this one's just a lot of fun for me. So Planet.
All right.
All right. My number 6 is a game that surprised me primarily because, again, this is a thing where this is a little bit more maybe personal, but it's my list, by golly, so I'm going with it. Earlier this year, one of the hottest games was a game that I played and I bounced off of very hard. I had a very negative reaction to it. I rated it poorly because, for me, I actively disliked playing it, although I understand why a lot of people liked it. This isn't my choice, but I'm talking about Turing Machine, right? A game about deduction. People are like, Mike just doesn't like deduction games. It's not true.
That's not the worst they said about you. to
That's
be
not the
clear.
worst they said about me. That's the worst I'm willing to say here publicly. But my number 6 is a game called Tiwanaku, which is a different type of deduction game. And I think that really what it comes down to is, as silly as this might sound, these games, I think, really say a lot about the way your brain works. Deduction games specifically.
You normally yell about them.
Right. I usually don't do very well because a lot of times they're focused around numbers.
Logic.
And logic, right? Like they feel like logic homework, which is fine. Some people loved those, and obviously Turing Machine has a lot of appeal, and people love it, but it did not work for me. It felt like work. It frustrated me. This is a game that is much more about spatial awareness, okay? And it still is numerically based because each of those little circles are different crops, and they all represent different numbers, right? And the board is going to be made up of different types of terrain that are going to have crops on them, and they're going to range from 1 square to, I believe, 5, yes. And if it's, let's say it's a 3 square piece of land, it's going to have a 1, 2, and a 3 crop on it. And so what you're trying to do is the board starts empty, and you're trying to figure out what the particular crop tile should be, and you're going to get points based on how well you can deduce that. And you do it just based off some very simple rules, like 2 alike crops will never be next to each other, even diagonally. You'll never have 2 of the same types of terrain next to each other, even diagonally. So you're deducing. It's the same exact. It's the same.
hard.
But maybe it is.
That
but
worked out for you, though.
so much more clear to me.
I don't like how that looked at all.
Oh, I think it's beautiful. I think it's absolutely
Maybe it looks
beautiful.
better in person. That picture
Yeah.
made
Looks
it look
really nice.
No,
in
it's
person.
a beautiful production. And so I guess why it surprised me was that it reinforced that it's not necessarily deduction. It's particular types of deduction that work for me
When did
versus
this come to
don't.
the studio? I don't think I even saw it.
I picked it up at Essen.
Ah.
Yeah. So
Have we reviewed it yet?
no, I'd like other people to play it first. I mean, I
Is it on the
played
two
it with
play?
Chris. I played it with Chris.
Is it on the 2-play shelf?
No, I can bring it in.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it just surprised me because it is.
I'm deducing some stuff.
He's
Let me
deducing
know.
something. Yeah, yeah. No, I'd love to have other people try
Mike
it.
is avoiding me.
Correct.
I solved it.
So anyway, yeah, Tiwanaku, and maybe it's the way I described it, but I found it to be significantly easier to wrap my brain around.
I think part of it, Mike, is that it is not just a deduction puzzle like Turing Machine or
Right.
people have said even Cryptid.
Yes.
Like those are just solve the puzzle. This is actually a board game. You have pieces, you move around, you accidentally discover land types.
Right.
And so the puzzle will unfold itself just from playing it.
Right.
Okay.
And
Is that
so,
similar to that other? What's the game where you picked where the treasure was on the island?
Oh, you mean like
Tobago?
yeah,
Tobago.
is it like Tobago then?
I haven't tried that one.
You, like Chris said, you're not trying to guess what the type of terrain is. You're going to move to an open spot, and it's going to tell you what the type of terrain is. You're trying to guess what the crops are on that terrain using those basic, simple rules. Like on the back of the rule book, they're like, here are the 3 deductive rules that if people understand that, they'll know how to do the game, right?
Okay.
So I think the fact that it is a board game might be why it kind of sticks out for
be.
you more than just here's a puzzle, solve it. Like you actually get to play, you get to discover and unveil things and take chances based on what other people did.
That's true, yeah.
Instead of just hey, solve puzzle.
That's the catch at Palooza for me. I want
Yeah.
to try this.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see. I have no idea if you guys would like it or not, but I'd like.
No. Your reputation hinges on a single game.
Fantastic. I hinge my reputation and Chris's paycheck on whether Tom likes his game.
Agreed.
Double or nothing.
Jeez. All right.
Z, would you like to throw something
No, I'm
down?
good. I'm okay, guys. All right.
Would you like to throw something of mine in the pool?
No, I'm okay. All right, here we go. My number 6 is a game I expected to like, so that's not the surprise, because I ended up liking it. It's a game that just everything I expected about it was different, and I came out of it thinking, I like this, but literally nothing I thought it would be is. This is Revive, is my number 6.
Oh my
Ooh,
goodness.
wow.
Revive
Well,
is...
no, I just didn't know where you had ended up on this one. Really.
You're going to have
Like
to
if it was
revive
gonna be
me.
my
I feel like
top
Fred
10
Sanford.
or whatever.
No, I
you
didn't think it
mean?
would make your top 10, but I'm glad to see it's here.
Yeah. It's a game that everything about it was kind of unexpected. It's post-apocalyptic, but that cover doesn't really look post-apocalyptic. The theme doesn't really come through either, so it's not like it's that post-apocalyptic. I didn't get that. It's a game from a company that I know makes, kind of heavy games, but this was very crunchy.
Yeah,
It might be their crunchiest, actually.
I think so. Yeah.
The whole that mess of connections there, the very clever pipe game over there. That was again something I looked at and thought, what? I think I'll not like this part as much as I like the map part. Wrong. I like that a lot. I thought that was very clever. So it's a game that again I was not sure how to attack it, and every supposition of mine ended up being wrong. But I liked it. It's not one I'm going to play all the time. It's not my favorite game from that company, from Aporta Games. But it is one that feels very personal to them, I think. I think it's the kind of game that they were like, you know what, we want to make this with these ideas and these weird rules and this kind of strange apparatus. And they pulled that off. So I respect them for that. Though I did not before. I had zero respect for the company.
Correct.
Yeah.
But now I do.
A grudging
I'll give them
respect.
a slow clap.
Too fast.
Are we supposed to join you
Do
in
you
this?
think? Do you think? And
I'm
this
kidding,
is
by the way, about everything I just said except for the nice things.
this is a question I ask you. It's the same type of question I ask myself.
In front of a mirror.
If this was a space-themed game, do you think you would have liked it as much?
I would have liked it less, I think.
Right. Okay. So the
I hate
theme
that whole black void
Yeah.
with dots.
Okay.
I'm like, what happened to the printer? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because this felt like it could have been. You know what I mean?
Space game?
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. Anyway, I just was curious about that because
The funny thing is, I like space themes in theory, but I almost never like space games
Yeah.
because of the way they
present.
look.
Yeah.
Is always, let's run out the black ink.
Right.
So that this looks like the void of space, and you see like twinkling stars. But also, I don't like that aesthetic that much.
You okay there, Roy?
So
Wearing black right now.
Uh-huh.
anyway, yeah,
I don't
Revive is
understand this
my.
turned into an anti-space thing. Space isn't even in the game.
I know Mike was
It's
just
the
asking
final
me a
frontier.
question.
I was asking how much the theme helped his enjoyment
Oh.
of the game because it's not a terribly thematic game.
It's not.
Yeah.
It feels like you're just on an alien planet.
Right. It kind of
Yeah.
feels like a space game, honestly. So anyway,
Yeah.
just curious.
All right.
My number 6 is a very historical game. The theme in this one is absolutely crucial, right? Historical games. We're accused of not really liking war games and stuff in the historical side of things. This is one that's definitely not a war game, but it has a lot of those rules that are very, very absolutely driven by the theme. The theme is that we are each gospel evangelists. We're writers of different gospels. My number 6 is called Acts of the Evangelists. This is a game that Tom
they said-
I thought you were going to say OT draft, actually.
It has problems.
It has problems, but I'm so charmed
Is
by
one
it.
of them graphic design?
Yes.
What happened? What is that? Is this the pro?
I'm
You couldn't find a picture of the finished game?
I'm actually bypassing that problem, actually, but yes.
Yeah. The game has problems. It comes on a rollout like cloth mat, and the edges are not perfectly.
I can see
It
the
frays on the
strands.
end. Yeah.
There's fraying right there in the bottom left-hand corner. I can see a fray.
Yeah, there's weird decisions with this game, but I'm really charmed by it, partly because I love the theme. You are going around interviewing different people in the Jerusalem area and surrounding areas, getting different accounts of the acts of Jesus, the miracles he performed,
Before
his
they
teachings.
die, by the way.
Before they die, there's a whole they will die off mechanism that takes place over the rounds of the game. So you might be like, Mary, hold on! You know, and so you get less points if you have to get a second-hand account, a garbage account. But also you are collecting these stories as cards. You have you can put them in a chronological order, or you can try to emphasize them with different teachings. It uses thematic language and stuff like chiasm. If you use a chiasm, it's an ABC, CBA style of teaching that was found in Jewish literature and poetry and instruction based on different symbols. Then you score bonus points for that. This is one of the most thematic games I've ever played.
That I agree on. I think it's really well done thematically.
Yeah, and I have fun with it. I know that I enjoyed the gameplay of it more than you. You had some issues with how limited you were with arranging the teachings and stuff.
I did. There's a lot of... I want to like this game more. I think it's a great theme. I think the theme works. You know what? The graphic design isn't even a thing I was thinking about because the gameplay was interesting, but it just didn't hold water for me.
I had a lot of enjoyment with
Did it
it.
hold wine? Oh, come on! Give it up for that.
Yang zing.
Fine.
Thank you. Oh, I just got like a Jason high five almost. Jeez, I feel dirty. Wow, that's terrible.
But I really like this. If you are looking
do
for
good?
that theme and you're okay with, nitpicky rules because of historical stake and stuff. But it's that type of game. It's not a Euro game. It's not a cooperative game. It's none of that stuff. It is kind of its own historical game genre. But I was impressed with it.
All right. My number 6 is a game from a company that at this point in time has one good game out of 3 that they produced. And
And this is the one.
this is the one, yeah. The other one was also on my most anticipated games when I heard about it, but it did not has great art, but the gameplay didn't come through as well. This one here is just silly, stupid, has Rodney Smith on the cover. It's voices in my head. Okay, it's not really Rodney Smith, but
Might as well be.
He'll leave you to figure out who it is on your own.
so this game has a bunch of stuff that should not work. It has the little plinko, not plinko,
The coin pusher.
the coin pusher machine. You're pushing tokens on, knocking them off. You are different parts of a person's brain, not in a
Not a schizophrenic way.
way, but more like you are the innocence versus guilt, like the two
Aspects of
like the
personality.
two different people on the shoulders.
Okay.
It has very few actions over the course of this game. Has a funny story that because you are a really dumb criminal, like when you be like, have you ever seen this woman before? Like, no, I don't know who my girlfriend is, or like, I don't know who Susan is. Whatever,
Right.
your answer is.
Okay.
And you're trying to get this guy either convicted or off, depending on the answers they make. But it comes together in a funny, interesting way. I would hesitate to say there's great game mechanisms here, but I played it several times this year just because I'm like, you guys got to try this out. It's fun. It's just a
Okay.
fun experience. It's a really fun game to play. I don't know how to explain it.
It's so funny. The other game by this same publisher almost made my surprises list. 3,000 Scoundrels almost made my surprises list.
It makes my disappointment.
I know. I
list.
liked it much better than anybody else here, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, because they are trying things, right? They may not all
I give
hit.
them that. Yes,
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
They are definitely trying. And they're, unexpected games. They're not going to, you don't know what to expect, right? It's a coin pusher game. It's a card crafting game. You know what I mean?
I agree. No, the
Push your
company
area control.
Right.
The company's doing weird stuff for sure. I commend them for
Sure,
that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, voices in my head.
All right. My number 5 is a surprise because it's a gimmicky trick-taking game, and my history with gimmicky trick-taking games, being as people tend to think I hate The Crew, although I absolutely don't hate The Crew. I think it's a very good game. My number 5 is Cat in a Box. So I heard this game described, and I'm like, that's cute. It's a gimmick. Mm-hmm. It's a good game. It works. It's a really good trick-taking game. And I had to fight against my own biases of it was so hot and hipsterish. I'm like, okay, I'll play it. All right, you know what? This is legit. The hype is deserved. It works. It's a gimmick that works. It's not for someone that is learning trick takers, right? This is definitely a trick-taking game for people that like trick-taking games, that like weird trick-taking games, and like meta around the table interactions. All of those things it does very well. The fact that it adds this little mini almost area control element is just icing on the cake. It would have worked just for the idea of pick whatever suit you want this card to be. But that little extra of it might actually inform my decision a little bit on what card I choose it to be based on trying to get, a grouping of your little tokens on the center board was really smart. Easy to teach if you know trick-taking games, and I can't stress that highly enough. Plays quickly, really like it. I was surprised that it pulled off its trick as well as it did, pun intended. Number 5.
Yeah, it's interesting that it. This is also, by the way, my number 5. This is a crossover here.
Awesome.
What?
I thought it was really interesting that a lot of trick-taking games in this day and age have to have a gimmick.
Yeah.
And rarely, though, is that gimmick something that is very smooth and clean and straightforward. Mm-hmm. They get caught up in the gimmick, in telling you a gimmicky story or having a gimmicky mechanism. And so it's like, okay, but is the this weird bizarro gimmick worth the heavy lifting?
Right. I
think in Cat in the Box here, it's thematic with the theme they picked. It works well, and it is not heavy lifting.
Right.
It's a solid trick-taking game. So there you go. Yeah, that's my 5 as well.
Nice.
Wow, I feel
Chris,
left
is it
out.
your 5?
No, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, look.
My
You can
5
make any game your number 5, Chris. Make it Cat in the Box.
My number 5 is called Town 66.
All right. Well.
Sorry
Oh,
about that.
the Oink game.
The Oink game.
Just
Yeah.
made Mike happy.
Wow. Yeah, I'm shocked.
He doesn't even care about Cat in the Box
No,
anymore.
Cat in the
Yeah,
who?
Cat in the Box is the
Mike's
cat.
number 1 through 4. Oink, oink, oink,
Oink in the
oink.
Box.
Yeah, it's a pig farm.
The cat's dead. I'm sorry to tell you about it. Schrodinger's law here. No, Town 66 is a really cool puzzle, puzzly tile-laying game here where you can't repeat shape nor color of building in this town, in Town 66, because they will cut your head off if you have 2 triangle buildings next to each other.
It's an HOA game.
So
Yes.
basically, Blokus.
It kind of is,
It's a
right?
riff
Not
on-
next to each other, but like in a line or a column. So
Correct.
it's more like what's the other one with the wooden tiles? That was really, really popular.
Oh, I said Blokus. That's not what I meant.
Yeah,
I
you meant Quirkle?
Quirkle. Yeah, it's
I meant Quirkle. It looks like Quirkle.
It's a bit of a riff
It's
on
Quirkle.
that.
It is kind of a riff on Quirkle, and it's fun because it has this idea where you can bow out early. You can run out of tiles early, and you're out of the round. But only the last person who legally ran out of tiles is the winner. And if you cannot place a tile without breaking any of those rules, then you're eliminated. And so it has this
From
fun
the game?
From the game.
Yes.
And it's like a
it's a
20
very
minute
quick
short,
game. It's a very
15-minute
quick
game or something like that. So it has a fun little elimination-y type thing, a push your luck aspect to it, along with this quirkily kind of
And you can see the back of the other player's tile, so you know what colors they have.
It's a fun little gimmick.
It is, and that timing element is the hook, right?
Yeah.
That because if you drop out, you've got fewer tiles for the rest of the game, not just that turn. It's really smart.
Yeah, I really like this one. I'm glad that you showed it to me because I look at the Oink games that you pick up, Mike, questioningly.
As well you should.
But
Hey
this one
yo,
surprised
baby.
me.
You're not going to make Hey Yo happen.
It
already
already won.
happened.
It won the
It already
Spiel
happened.
Innovation Award, sir.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. All the kids are talking about Hey Yo on the
My number
TikToks.
5 is a glorious piece of art. It's not. It's pretty horrific both in terms of graphic design and art, which means it's
a
obviously
crossover?
published by Rio Grande
Oh,
Games.
boy.
Oh.
That doesn't narrow it down at all so far. But I looked at this and I was like, this does not look like much. And I really enjoyed it. It's one of the best Euros I played this year, and that is Space Station Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
This is a better looking one, Tom.
This looks
Better
good.
than
No,
like,
it is not. If you looked at these tiles, they are the iconography here. Race for the Galaxy is like for children compared to this game.
Okay.
That box cover looks.
This is turning into a
fine.
best
But
kids
look
game
at that!
list.
Look at all that stuff everywhere.
It is a
And
mess.
it also takes up the whole table. It looks. First of all, it looks way more complex than it is. It's very, very simple.
Okay.
Because I'm like, you can use any card in front of you or in front of someone else. I'm like, are you kidding me? That's gonna be really confusing. But it's not, because you only have like 6 different types of cards, and mine might be 1 and Chris's 2, and I'll be like, I'll use the 2 of this action. Easy enough.
Got it. Okay.
You know, but it has really cool concepts. You are building a space station, and your powers compound. And man, it's a very fun engine builder, because your engine really does get better, but you're also dismantling your engine. Your 9 cards are spaceships, and you use each spaceship to do different things, but you also need metal to build a space station.
Right, of course.
And the easiest way to get metal is to dismantle one of your cards.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
cards
as the
are
game
metal
goes
at this
by, you are running out of cards. But also your space station gets better, making your remaining cards more powerful. It's a really cool
Okay, I like
way
that.
to
I
do
do
that.
like
Yeah, it's a neat idea.
You played this one?
I do not. No.
This sounds like a Chris Yee game in many ways.
It does. I think it is a Chris Yee game. It was good. I put it in the Dice Tower library. I was very impressed, and I know I've seen a lot of people playing it and talking about it this year. I think it could have been a much bigger game had they decided to, I don't know, make it
Space Station
usable.
Albuquerque.
Space Station what?
Albuquerque.
Why?
Albuquerque is the new Manhattan. Did you hear that?
I did not hear that.
That's because I just made it up. All right.
I think Homestead's in New Manhattan. I just went over by, there's like 3 more housing things I
Don't
just
even
started.
get me started on that.
Oh, the
right.
prices are reflecting that. Yeah.
And the traffic.
Oh, you're having it. Yeah, okay. It's a hard knock life. All right, Space Station Phoenix.
My number 4 is a small box.
Hey, yo.
No, if that wasn't this year. Roll and write version of an earlier game that I never played.
Oh, wait, what?
As the old joke goes, doesn't really narrow it down.
Doesn't really narrow it down. My number 4 is Long Shot the Dice Game.
Oh, yes.
This is such
I
a
thought this
good.
would be. I thought this might be your top 10.
Well, I will tell you, this would be in the top 20 for sure. I mean, this would be in the next 10 list. Actually, my last 4 would probably be hovering around that area.
Okay.
This is just such a clever racing game, betting game, where it doesn't even seem like you should call it a roll and write. It doesn't feel like a roll and write at all, just because it kind of uses those mechanisms. It doesn't. It feels like a straight up racing and betting game, and it's just so smart in the way that it works. But the roll and write is not gimmicky, because it actually does help keep the footprint way down. You have everything you need right in front of you. You're writing on the actual cards. There are horses that you can either bet on, or you can kind of buy them and they'll give you some type of an ability. And I also love that you can check off other horses,
Right.
so that the more die rolls mean that you're happy. Basically, like you can make it so that almost every roll is going to move one of your horses along. Such a really clever little game that, like I said, I had no history to Longshot. I never played it. And Chris introduced this to me, and I was knocked out. First time I played it, I'm like, this is really
you
good.
lost.
I probably did, but this is really,
out.
really
Different
good.
knocked out.
Different knocked out. Really good.
Well, he was winning, so just
Yeah, I just got knocked out. Yeah.
There's so many different ways. Okay.
And,
got it.
Yeah, I like Long Shot, the board game.
Yeah.
That came out, forever ago from Z-Man Games. But I think Long Shot, the dice game, is a better game.
Wow.
it's really good.
It's much faster for
Yeah.
one thing, and I think it doesn't really lose much. I think it's great.
You can kind of sell this on 2 different crowds. Do you like horse racing, betting type games?
do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you like roll and write games?
I do.
Here's one with
Not as much.
Here's one with a nice centerpiece to
Right.
it. Though.
Yeah.
I think that's why this one works so well.
Yep. There you go. My number 4 or 5? 4.
All right, my number 4 is a game called Endless Winter.
Oh.
This is a big game. This is not for children. This is for grown-ups. Okay? And I played it and I understood it. The end.
Hey, man.
Slow clap for Z Garcia.
I did good.
You did good. All right, Chris, what do you got?
Is it a surprise because you thought it was going to be too much, overwhelming?
I figured, yeah. There's also a billion things in
There
this
are.
game.
There
And,
are a
not just what comes in the box, but all these crazy expansions and
Yeah,
whatnot.
right.
It was just not really on my radar as much.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, Eurogame, the Eurogame a little
Sure.
bit with a cool look.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, it's really solid. I like everything that's going on in it. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, yes. Oh, I like that. This is captivating.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Revive a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that. There's the interlocking things, the things that
Yeah.
kind of work with each other. Yeah.
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 I never got that high five, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it on your tab.
It was implied. Take it out of Chris's check.
It'll bill you.
You
Lovely.
think Chris gets a high five as part of his check?
He does it? We need to reevaluate my contract.
I get a
sir.
bill in the mail that says, -1 high five value.
You guys are out for Christmas. You're getting a coupon book.
Of high
No,
fives.
just different things.
Cash this in for a quick hug.
Wear one of my hats for 2 minutes.
One free dishwashing.
All right, what are we on? My number, my number 4. This is
This is day one, guys. Calm down.
This is a tile laying game for 2 players that I don't think any of you have touched nor would ever want to touch. It's called The Two Heirs.
That is correct.
This has one of the weirdest covers ever. It's got this really nice painting in the background and this weird cartoony frame. It's very doofy looking. I looked at it and I said, that looks terrible. I want to play it. So I forced Wendy to, and we had a really fun time. I actually forced Jason to play it with me.
You did. I saw that. But he liked it.
He liked it. I liked it when he liked it. This is a really neat, clever game where you have a rondel of tiles that you're drafting from on the side, and then you are building a shared grid of these different buildings and landscapes and stuff. The way that you orient the buildings, either towards yourself or towards your opponent, is a very simple way of saying, I control this building, I own it, I built it. And so you're building in the same area. You have this really interesting soldier system where the more soldiers you have in the rondel, the more range you have to move and to get benefits from it. The more soldiers you have in the map that you're building up, the easier it is for you to build out. You have to build adjacent to those soldiers. So there's this fun little balance of these two systems that don't sound like they work intrinsically well together, but they do. I was really impressed by this. This company, has made a lot of games that I thought were almost good. And then I thought this one was really good. So it's a big standout for them. So I like it. Two Heirs.
That sounds neat.
Every year, I think there's a prize. There should be a prize given for worst, most generic name for a game.
Oh, I know what this is just off of that.
What is it?
Guild of Merchant Explorers.
That is correct. The Guild of Merchant Explorers.
It's almost a joke title.
It really almost is a troll.
Yeah, let's make it a lot of words too.
This combined with the cover, which is pretty but not inspiring, combined with the boards, which are neither pretty nor inspiring, like put a bunch of cubes on the board.
Yeah.
If you showed me this and said that's fun, I'd be like, that is not fun looking at all.
Yeah.
And yet, I really like this game. It's essentially a roll and write,
Right.
but you're putting cubes out. And what makes this game is you get these cards that give you a way to put cubes out that no one else has, and that's always the thing I like.
The power cards are what
Yeah,
this game
and,
is
it,
at.
and it makes it very fun, very replayable. I imagine it is not particularly popular this year. I know everyone I've taught it to has enjoyed it.
I've heard
So,
good
well,
things.
But it's like AEG went out of their way to get people to not buy the game.
Well, they
Huge
need
box.
something to give away next year at Gen Con.
Yeah,
If
it's,
all their games are popular, what are they going to give away?
you're right, though. It's a huge box, an ugly cover, a terrible name for such a good game.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
I like this one a lot. But I'll tell you what, when I first got it, I was like, fine, it's AEG. That was its saving grace. Because I really do tend to like AEG games
Yeah.
these days. If I don't like an AEG game, that's kind of the outlier. That was the only thing that kept me playing it. But when I started, I was like, wow, this is really entertaining. So
I liked it, but I agree, man. It's almost like they were trying
Yeah.
to have one not be a hit. I don't get it. I'll wait for the actual flip and right.
The space one. Space
No,
of the
thinking,
Merchant
if
Explorers.
you could mark, because the cubes don't move, right?
You could
remove
wipe
them.
you remove them at the end of the
each round.
You keep some spots out there.
And I'm sure they probably tried it as a roll
Right.
and
thought
they
it
were
would
like,
be
oh, I
too
don't want to erase
faffy
this
to-
board three
yeah,
times a
that's
game.
what I think I almost guarantee it was developed as a roll and write, and they
Right.
thought this doesn't work. You don't want to keep erasing the board.
Yeah, the form factor is right, even though it feels fiddly
Yeah.
for a lot of it.
The cubes, though. The cubes.
The
Cubes! The cubes!
The cubes!
The
Cubes!
The cubes, Tom!
The cubes.
I'm
All
trying
right.
to think if there are any cubes in my number
Oh,
three.
100%.
There might be, but I don't think so because this is a incredibly lavish production. My number three is my father's work. What
Okay.
surprised me here?
There are cubes in my copy
Oh, okay.
because you need to move those pieces across and they keep falling over.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, we're using cubes.
Yeah, that's true.
cube?
That's true. I suppose what surprised me about this game was how, it's so hard. We use this word thematic a lot, right? And it can mean so many different things. A lot of times you lean on narrative to have theme.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And this game has, make no mistake, it's one of the most verbose games I've ever come across. Like, there's a lot of writing, and there's an app that'll narrate some of it, at least partially by Ben Maddox, who works with Dice Tower sometimes. But a lot of it is you read it yourself. But that to me is not the most thematic part of the game. The thematic part of the game is this idea of generations and how well that is implemented throughout the game. I just really was kind of charmed by the game. It's a very dark game. It's like a almost a gallows humor. It's not like really gross or anything, but it's kind of like this gothic, gallowsy kind of
It's
game.
kind of closer to like Universal Monsters.
That type of a
almost.
thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And it's really a worker placement game. It's a Euro game, right? It's more a Euro game than a narrative game. It's just a Euro game with a lot of words. But that theme, that idea of playing through these different generations really works for me. And this is another game I saw on the table and I thought, this is going to be a kitchen sink game. They threw everything they can think of in here, but it's really not. It's a relatively streamlined design. And I was just, I guess, surprised at how much I felt that this theme came through. It's hard to pull off a thematic Euro game, and I think they did it very, very well here with my father's work. A very impressive design. Thinking about trying to design this game, my head just goes, right?
Yeah, it must have been a lot of
A
work.
lot of work. So
This
there
is
you go.
one I haven't tried. I'd like to, though.
Yeah.
2 players, this one works for.
Yeah, it's a
That's
good
good.
two-player
That's
game.
good news for me.
All right, my number three is the first game I thought of when I knew we were doing surprises. It was.
You thought if it was like definitely number 3.
I thought of it. I'm like, oh, definitely this game because it really was a very clear surprise. A game that, unless you'd been like, come and sit and play, I'm like, no, I'm not. I would have never seeked it out. Not a theme I like. Making fun of a trope or kind of based on a thing I don't like. It's Starship Captains. I mean,
Oh.
I'm not interested. You show me that cover with the cartoony thing, the sci-fi dorkiness, and the obvious play on Star Trek, and I'm not interesed.
I just thought you would
tell
like
me
the
I
game.
can. You tell me I can push little characters in a little circle track, and I'm all in.
They should have led with this. That
That's
should have
the
been on the cover.
best thing, most innovative thing this whole year. Take that cat in the
I'm
box.
so encouraged by this because I am with you 100%. I saw this and I'm like, I just don't care. But I've heard so many good things. I'm going to be playing it for the first time live tomorrow on the Winter Spectacular, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very much looking forward to it because of everything I'm hearing. So I'm glad that you're reinforcing this. I'm looking forward to it now.
Chelsea said it. You were not.
No. I wasn't before I started hearing people I trust their opinion and Anzi say that it's a good game. So that was a dig.
I know, I got that.
Let me say it again. I don't trust Z's opinion.
I'm glad we clarify things right here. Keeps the office happy.
Yeah, Starship Captains, again, I played it with Tom, and I came away pleasantly surprised. Mainly because I played with Tom and I enjoyed it.
Reasonable.
But also because the game is not what I expected. It's lighthearted, it has that weird humor, but none of those things got in my way. I just dug into the game. Everything worked out well mechanically. It had a couple of clever moves in it. The way things sort of spawn and move around the table means it encourages you moving around different planets and whatnot. I thought that was handled really well. Yeah, the whole thing, I was not interested at all. This got announced. We covered it in the news, and I'm like, cool,
Hard
not
pass.
for me. Super don't care. And yet, I really liked it.
Did you have
Way
negative
more.
interest in it, as Michael said?
Kinda, yeah. Now it's positive.
Negative
a
interest.
plus-
That's my favorite kind.
Plus
Yeah.
3.5.
Let's stoke those
interest.
fires again. Sure. Yeah.
Yes. All right, my number 3 is you're
I'm
wrapped
good,
up.
I'm good, yeah. I'm
All
good.
right. My number 3 is a game that you introduced to me.
Yeah,
I'm curious if you remember the when we first played this.
I was there.
It's called Alacablast. This is
Oh my gosh. What? I haven't thought of this game since that review went up.
this one
Okay.
stuck
Yeah,
with
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Cover selling me,
Yeah,
guys.
I'm
Tell
telling
me
you.
more.
I'm in
Oh my gosh.
100%.
So it has that cover first of all.
Oh, the cards are worse.
Yeah,
No,
and those
are
cards.
better.
And so, what's neat about this one is this almost has a little bit of a challengers type thing going on where
I'm back in.
everyone at the table has a hand of cards, and you're choosing one person to have like a little like, oh, you and I are gonna battle. And as he is teaching me these rules, I'm like, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? So the cards have different colors, they have different values. The numbers the numbers favor certain cards. The colors favor cards in the opposite direction, and you're just trying to kind of outplay the other person in like Tom, you and I are going to duel this round. We each flip over
And
a
you
card.
decide whether you're going to fight in colors or in numbers also, right?
Yeah, so you do get you as
Something
the
like that.
active player get to make that choice. It works really well. It's actually very fun, and I like that offsetting thing. Very quick, very easy going. It has just enough going on to it that it's not just like a flip over cards, let's see what happens. But it's also that's basically the game. Flip over
the
cards and
publisher
see
on
what
this?
happens. Fractal
Juegos.
Juegos, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Spanish company, I believe.
I love the name.
This is neat. Yeah, I did a review of it, so you can go watch that, Tom, if you're more.
He doesn't watch your reviews.
Chris has sold me on this.
Yeah, but I could.
All he had to do was say challengers.
That's true. Challenges work, and Roy Wilson in the corner.
Meanwhile, Roy is vomiting on the console. over there.
No, I liked it. It's not like an amazing game, but it's so much more fun than I thought going into it, looking at it,
Yeah.
having you teach it. It's one of those games where, the teach sometimes you're still just like sinking into your chair more, and then you play it and you're like, ooh, okay. And that's what that one was, Alacablast.
All right, my number 3 is when I first heard the news of this, the news of which we announced like 6 years ago as a joke, and then they announced it for real this year, and I said, dumbest idea. I don't care about this game one whit.
Barkham Horror.
Played it, same company. Really enjoyed it.
Oh boy.
That is Twilight Inscription.
Wow.
Seriously?
Yeah. I went into this with a fairly negative attitude. I was like, I don't want to play a roll and write version of Twilight Imperium. And I didn't.
Right. You didn't.
It's just a really good roll and write game. Yes, it has the same theming as Twilight Imperium. Yes, the different factions have sort of a thematic power that's sort of like the one that they sort of have in Twilight Imperium 4.
You're saying sort of a lot.
I am. I actually undid what I said by saying it 3 times. But it's fun.
Yeah.
Now, yes, there's
Sort
some
of.
things could have been better. Like, I think they could have reduced board size a little, but it has a good. It's pretty easy to teach this game to people. Actually, it's one of the easiest
the
it's
heaviness
easiest
of
for how heavy the game is. It's an easy teach in that regard compared to, let's say, Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah.
I mean, I can teach Twilight Inscription in half the time it takes Hadrian's Wall. They take the same amount of time to
Really?
play.
Okay.
And I do wish it was the slightest bit shorter, I think.
Right.
But
Length
it is
is the-
fun.
Yeah, it made my solo games list, and it was a similar thing. It was.
I thought this might make your list for this one.
It didn't. I didn't want to repeat lists, but this also was a huge surprise to
Okay.
me, and I even mentioned that in the solo list. I'm like, I thought this game was a joke. I really thought it was like, oh,
I still think that.
well, it's because you haven't played it. It's good. It's really good.
I don't think Z would like it actually.
Not. I mean, if you go into it expecting not to like it, you probably won't like it.
Oh, come on now. Well, obviously that. I'm just saying, even if he was expecting to like it, I think he
sometimes
would
that-
like
I mean,
it.
that's part of what this list is. Sometimes you go into a game and you expect not to like it, and you don't. And sometimes you're surprised. I don't know if this would surprise
He
you.
did make some very unfounded, rude remarks about space games earlier. So yeah, there is that.
And there's a lot of black in this game.
That's
so
such a
much black.
What reason is that? That makes no sense in my brain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
You
just
don't like the color black on a
Oh,
board?
the aesthetic of empty space.
These
This-
paint markers are legit, though. They're
Oh,
really cool.
yeah?
They
Because
are.
like if you watch you go and watch like the Hubble telescope, they turn
Boring,
I'm
Tom.
out.
Watch any sci-fi movie. Any sci-fi movie has the shot, the first shot, the establishing shot is space,
Solar flare.
and then they'll never show it to you again. They're not hanging outside, like showing you the ship, and you hear the conversations from within the ship. Could you imagine that movie? That movie sucks.
Interstellar showed a lot of the space stuff.
A little bit. It's mostly, again, that's the problem with a board game. They can't. I have to stare at the establishing shot the entire time, as opposed to like something
I
in
like
space.
the
I do
space
too.
shots.
This is really enlightening, Z. That's an interesting analogy.
All right, Twilight Inscription.
This
my
guy
number,
gets
my
it.
number
Good
3.
choice, Tom.
I like space games, though.
My number 2 surprised me for a couple of reasons. Number 1, and this is nothing against this designer, because he's a very popular designer, especially over the last few years, kind of has come out of nowhere to becoming a very prolific and very popular designer, John D. Clare. I haven't tended to like his games very much. I was very bored with Mystic Vale. It did nothing for me. I wasn't interested necessarily in
say
that
Space Base, I'm gonna have to
that
stab
Dead
your leg.
Reckoning game. Space Base was fine. I liked it better.
This is
the
not
first
Dead
time I played
Reckoning?
it. Did I say Dead Reckoning? It is
You
Dead
just
Reckoning.
said
I
that.
meant Edge of Darkness. Sorry. My number 2 is Dead Reckoning.
You said I was not very
tripped.
interested in that Dead Reckoning game. You
Well,
just said
actually, no, I wasn't interested in this, but I was
Why?
also not interested in Edge of Dark. I wasn't, Tom, because I hadn't tended to like his games.
Yeah,
I also
yeah.
saw this, and I'm like, this is going to be this big bloated mess again.
John declares a national treasure, but also you're right.
Yeah, it's not. This
wow.
is for a
What?
game of this scope, right? For a game of this scope and physical size, it also is a relatively streamlined rule set. And I really appreciated it. I like pirate themes. No, who said who went? Was that you or have you played it? Have you played it?
Yeah,
I
don't-
played this. Yeah, I don't know about the whole relatively streamlined rule set
I'm
thing.
with him.
I
That's
was
streamlined.
really
For
excited.
a game of this size?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was so psyched because of the pirate thing, because
Yeah.
of the clear cards or whatever. And then as I was taught it and played it,
Mm-hmm.
there was always like, oh, and one more thing moment. It was like an Apple presentation that just wouldn't stop.
Well, okay, we can agree to disagree on that. I'm not saying it's a
disagree.
light game, but
Columbo
I'm saying
walks out.
that
One more thing,
my
dude.
expectations going into it was that it was going to be overwhelming and bloated, and I don't think it is. It's a really, really good exploration. I like how they handle the combat with the little cube tower. I think is a really clever, fun, gimmicky, but yet still functional and slightly unique way to handle combat. I like the NPC ships that you can fight against. You don't necessarily have to be fighting against the other people directly. I like the way that the card crafting is implemented here. I especially, my favorite part of the game is how you handle your crew, the upgrading of your crew. I think that's great. I like the fact that your deck is not bloated and overwhelming. Those things matter to me, I guess. And so when I played it, I was like, oh, wow, this is really belying my expectations again. It's going against what I thought it was going to be. I had such a good experience with it, continued to have good experience with it. That's why it's my number 2.
So you're number 2.
No, my number 2 is it blows away the original, and this is the one I thought you were going to say a while ago when you said a game now only for 2 people. This is Splendor Duel, my
Okay.
number 2.
Yeah, I could have put this on the list too.
Splendor Duel takes Splendor and injects life into it, I thought.
That's a good. I like that. Put that quote on the box.
Yeah.
Because Splendor is so by the numbers. It is sort of soulless in many ways.
First half of the quote goes on the box.
Yeah, no. I gave you the quote. I gave you the quote. Now I'm just expanding on it. Get your quote. Where's my check? I think this one, there's more game in it for one thing than the original Splendor, which is kind of weird. You don't normally make the dice game or the whatever
Duo
or
is
the
the same way, I
for
would
two game,
argue. Yeah.
and there are more rules. Yeah, Tokaido Duo is a little bit like that. There's multiple ways to win. Again, kind of like Tokaido Duo. I think it's very interesting. You need to keep your eye on three, competing things, and which one you pursue. Mechanically, it very much recalls Splendor. This idea of you buy things cheap now that give you discounts, and those things stack so you can get more expensive things. The basic idea of Splendor. Race to something. But man, there are secondary unique little powers on the cards. There's that interesting drafting thing where the tokens are spread out on a grid and you can take a set that's touching. All of these are more interesting than the original one. Every single one of the things they changed, I'm like, I'd rather do the new thing than the old thing.
Every change they made it a better two-player game.
Right.
Yeah.
Also known as Katala.
Katala's all over this game.
And it's also neat.
He can make even Splendor fun. Put
Right.
that quote on the box.
It's also neat if you've played Sobek two-player to kind of see where those two games kind of melded, because you can kind of see the grid system there, that idea. It's just, it's really good.
Actually, I think it's very much close to Seven Wonders Duel over Seven Wonders. I feel like this is a very similar growth to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a really good pick. Yeah, I didn't quite put it on my list.
I don't know why this one missed my list. I didn't think of it.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
really good,
It really is good.
All right.
All right. Well, my number 2 is a crossover. It's with Tom. I am oftentimes a defender of beige games,
Oh, okay.
but my goodness, come
this is
on.
Guild.
The Guild of Merchant Explorers. I like the cover. I do, but it's not a cover that sells the game. I think that's the problem.
Do you like the name?
No.
Okay.
No, but the cover.
The cover's
just,
fine, I think.
Really? I don't.
I'm not.
I like the cartographic kind of look to it, and it fits with what's going on, and it looks like the inside maps and everything. But it just does not pop. In fact, it does the opposite of pop. It fades into the crumbling walls of the game store on which it is sitting on the shelf of.
Yes.
It disappears. But the game is so good. You're teaching it to us. You flip over this card, put 2 cubes in green. I was like, oh man, I've played this game a couple dozen times. Flip over this card, put 2 cubes in blue. Got it. Here's this card where you get 2 absolutely unique cards that are both amazing sounding, and then you get to pick which one that you want to use for the rest of the game.
So much fun.
Oh my gosh! It's like the player powers in Voyages to Marco Polo.
Yeah.
It's that level of so exciting. You look at what everybody else has. You could build a straight line of the ocean as far as you want, but I can also build on 5 mountains, which you can only build 1 on normally. We're both sitting there jealous of each other's powers, but also very happy with the power that we have. It's a great mix. This game is so cool. And the level of beige that it has, it even caught me off guard. Put that on the box.
That's another quote. All right, my number 2, I'm surprised that no one here has said yet, although I know one of you has it in their top 10. Has
Done.
to be.
Yes, it's in mine.
I don't think it's you.
Okay, well,
But I know that you all like this game, and this was a game that was not sent to us as a review copy. We were in the middle of a store, and you guys pointed it out to me, and I was like, fine, I'll randomly buy this game.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I know that.
Yeah, I'll tell you whose list it's on.
Yeah, correct.
This guy. I'll tell you who pointed it out. This guy.
My number 2 is Caesar's Empire, another kind of boring name. Based on the Asterisk and Obelix comics, but has nothing to do with them.
No.
It's the very definition of a super filler. It's overproduced for sure. It's a Ticket to Ride size box, but it could have been in a really small box. And I won't say oink, but not too far off.
Oh my God. No, Tom, okay? Can't be in an oink size box.
No, but seriously, like, you're connecting all these things with little plastic miniatures of these little Legionnaires.
Right.
But this game, which plays, I want you to know what you're doing, in 15 minutes. It's a really fast game. It's simply put something down, everyone scores points, or you score and some other people score points. And man, I really like it. I was really surprised how much I enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
It's very Ticket to Ride. I think it's the
is.
best comparison where it's
definitely
like
a route builder.
But
Yeah.
like Transamerica.
Transamerica is what I
yeah,
yeah.
That like they keep hitting you with points though. It's like,
Yes.
oh, you did a thing?
There you go. There's
3
some
points. Oh, you did that? 6 points. That's got a good feel.
Someone else did something. 4 points
Right.
for me.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
yeah.
great feeling. It's not on my surprises list time.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I thought this would be on everyone's list actually, but anyway, my number 2, Caesar's Empire.
All right, my number 1 was my clear choice. The gap between 1 and 2 was pretty immense. First game I thought of when I knew we were doing this list. And the reason why it is such a surprise is that this is a game by a publisher that has produced 3 games. This is the 3rd game of this publisher. The first game by this publisher, actively terrible. Second game by this publisher, not a whole lot better. I played this game and I enjoyed it so much, I was convinced I played it wrong because the other 2 were so bad. I'm like,
I'm trying to think if a publisher has
and,
two
and,
bad
and you're trying
first
to,
games.
and you're asking,
Have I played this game?
You have not. You're asking yourself, Mike, if you had such a bad experience with the first 2, why would you play the 3rd one? To which I respond, you're not the boss of me. If Tom asks me, I'll have to answer. Otherwise,
I didn't make him play this, I hope.
no. I backed it on Kickstarter, which is even more.
Oh, it's this game.
My number
Oh.
1 is Age of Atlantis.
See,
Again, I was like, surely I'm playing this wrong because this is a really good game. This was hovering around my top 10 of the year. It's that good.
okay, I'm
There
gonna
are
have to play
still
this
some
now.
significant.
That's crazy.
There are issues primarily. The biggest issues I have are like things like the rule book. The gameplay itself,
minor
though.
stuff.
No, it's
No, if we
it's
cut
not,
games out for rules,
no,
we
it's
would
not
have
like
a very
rules.
different top
It's not like
100.
rules are
Gosh.
left out. It's
Okay.
just like they did the thing like who's the company that insists on having rules on 4 sheets when they probably need it to be on like 8 or 12. We talk about this all the time.
Our sponsor?
Not them, somebody else.
Oh.
Good cover, Mike.
But this is my biggest issue with this game is that some of the rules are actually on a player aid, and I don't love when companies do that. But anyway, the gameplay is really good, and it's even very hard to describe. It's a bunch of tech. Everyone has this massive tech tree, and everyone has the same tech
Mike,
tree.
you didn't lead off with the tech tree.
Beyond the Sun.
I'm
This,
in.
this
no.
looks like a Mike game, right, from this picture right
Right,
It really does.
But I'm telling you, I don't want to say whether because every time I say I think someone's going to like something, they end up hating it. But I
Do you think I would like it?
I do because
I
you like.
think I would like it.
I don't know about you. I'm not sure.
There you go. That's a safe
Chris,
bet.
I think would like
That's the safe
because
bet.
it's tech, right? You're building up tech.
Tech, I'm in,
and
baby.
every faction has a unique power, which you also like. It also has these big creatures that only you control that you can bring out on the board,
my
which
gosh.
you also like, right?
How have you
But-
not played this?
Because I hate the first 2 games for
Right,
this company.
so did I. But it is anchored by some really solid Euro mechanics, and it's really good. It's really good. And I don't know how to put it other than I was convinced I played it wrong the first time because I was like, this is really good. What am I missing here?
I love that this is a game you backed on Kickstarter.
Yes.
Expecting to be bad.
Well, no, I had only played the second game once at that point.
I'm
like,
not
okay,
going to throw
maybe
Mike on a bus. I also backed this on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Because it looks cool.
amazing. All
It
your
You have
games-
those too?
It's in the Dice Tower
Yeah,
library.
all these games look amazing.
Oh.
I'll say even the first 2 games, the El Dorado game and Windward, they all look fantastic.
Yeah, that's true.
and
did
they have
look
some
good.
interesting themes, right? You want them so bad to be good.
The
they're-
Windward one with the whales or
yes,
whatever in the, air?
the flying,
Yeah,
the
fly
airships, and the.
Is that
and the-
bad? I haven't
it's-
played that.
It's mediocre.
Okay, but that's what's about that second game.
I'll say that's the second one. It's
Oh,
mediocre.
the Quest for El Dorado?
No, the first one is Quest for El Dorado. It's terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
It's
I
terrible.
would pull my tab, but there's a microphone.
Anyway, there you go. It's
Also, Facebook
really,
would.
really good, and we'll see. We'll see if you guys like it, but I really liked it.
All right, well, my number 1 is not going to be nearly as exciting
Mm.
as Mike's number 1 there, or as much as a surprise.
Is it a crossover?
No, it's just one I was
So you
not.
didn't put Caesar's in. Man, I thought one of you two would put it on.
No,
I liked it, but I wasn't that surprised.
That would have been good. I mean, that makes sense to be surprised by.
I was
but
interested in it when I
Yeah,
saw
I was
it.
kind of interested.
Yeah.
I was hoping I'd like it, and I liked it.
Yeah.
This is one that I thought, oh boy, especially after the last one, which I liked, but I thought maybe we're running out of steam here a little bit. This is Star Wars: The Clone Wars
Oh, yeah, I
Pandemic.
should have thought
Oh,
of it. Although I thought this
wow,
might make
okay.
the top 10.
Which was, again, it was, there's all the Pandemic games, which I like, pretty much most of them. The World of Warcraft one, I thought, yeah, neat. Not sure about this replayability. And again, it's kind of like we're starting to run out of steam here a little bit, maybe. We're getting to we've been in the cash cow territory. Now we're getting to, like, the really obvious wallet snatching territory. You know what I mean? Like, get your hands out my pants, Z-Man. You can put that quote on the box as well if you'd like.
Don't put that quote anywhere.
Right.
Put that on Twitter right now. But Star Wars: The Clone Wars, I thought was a nice upswing again, where just like I was talking about some of these other ones where I expected one thing and kind of at every turn got a different thing. This was a bit like that, where I thought, okay, Pandemic. I know Pandemic.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get what they're doing with the Pandemic system. Oh, wait. What? Like, they kept taking some of the basic core ideas in Pandemic and going, we're not doing that. Like, that's a core part of Pandemic. Like, you can't not include that part.
Right.
No, that's not in it. I thought that was really clever and interesting. The fact that, they managed to pull things off I thought were impossible to strip away, that they couldn't do. And then the theme comes through. The game is fun. It's got a good amount of cooperation. It's just fun. It's a good one with a nice amount of replayability right in the box too, which is saying something considering the last one, the World of Warcraft, I thought, I'm worried about the replayability. Like immediately 3 games
This is
in,
better
2
than a
games.
World of Warcraft?
I think so.
Yeah,
Considerably, I would say.
I would say so too. Especially for that idea of you don't draw cards at the end of every turn, Tom. Something as base as that. As
My mind is melting.
Your mind should be melting, okay? I'm pulling a Jedi mind trick on you right now.
This is not the pandemic.
Look.
you're looking for.
All right.
What?
Well, it's coming into my mouth.
Oh, I get it.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't get it. I'm going to continue before I say something bad. My number one surprise. In one way, this doesn't seem like it should be a surprise for me. I love small box push your luck games. That's one of my favorite little genres of games.
Hey, yo.
On the other hand, I hate Uno. So what about, I also hate Llama Uno. My number one is don't Llama Dice.
This game is so good.
Oh,
This game is so good.
somebody
I support
explain-
this choice 100%.
That's copywritten impersonation. Don't take my gimmick. Can somebody explain to me, though, what this title means?
No.
no one knows.
Llama.
Yeah, it's a copyright thing. Like they couldn't call it Llama Dice.
So they decided, don't
Llama Dice.
Okay, explain that to me.
I don't know. Llama in German is, I think, an acronym. It means something, So when they brought it,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah. There was some reason for it. It wasn't a great
I
reason.
just love how they're like, Llama Dice, we can't do that.
But don't Llama Dice.
Okay.
So, I mean, I did not like the original Llama, the card game, at all. And the Mike comes in one day with a game called Don't Llama Dice.
Which I refuse to even look at.
I was daring people to play it.
Yeah.
You taught it to both of us at one point.
Did you like it?
I liked it better than Llama.
Yeah.
Do you like llama?
Not particularly. It's Uno.
Do you like llama?
No, not at all.
Okay, good, because I hate llama.
This
So
is
you saying
better.
I might like
This
this?
is better
This
than
is
that.
Yeah,
better.
this
It's
is
a push your luck dice game. It's better.
It has a little bit of that shut the box kind of idea where you have cards in front of you, you're trying to roll dice to match those numbers. But if you don't match the number that you have, there's a center row. So at the top there, the 2 through 6, there's a 1 through llama card up there. You have to add cards to your little array in front of you if you don't get rid of cards. And at some point, if you don't match your row or the center row, you bust.
Llama Drama!
But you can bow out at any time.
Is that what it's called?
It is called Llama Drama. Like, Tom-
Which would have been a better title, by the way,
Great title, actually.
than Don't Llama Dice.
Yeah, that would have been a great title.
But you can bow out at any time and just take the number of points you have in front of you. And so you have good choices every turn.
It's a good push your
Unlike
luck.
Llama.
Yeah.
It's a nice push your luck system. And it's Llama in that sometimes if you clear all your cards or stuff, you can get rid of one chip.
That's the main thing.
It can
yeah.
be a 1-point chip, Tom, or a 10-point chip. But you can use that. You can actually strategically utilize
You
that.
can purposely
So that's what a llama
choose.
sounds
Right.
like.
You can choose. You could choose to like bow out when you're at 6 points and there's a 4 there to be like, okay, I want to get to 10 so that I can clear that out.
Yeah.
I haven't even thought of that. Oh
Yeah,
man, you're a
there's some
Don't
fun
Llama
little
Dice
things in this
master.
Well, that's what they call me on the app.
Yeah. So to go from the previous game to this one, this is a huge swing up in score. For
Makes
me.
sense. That makes sense.
All right.
This is a crossover, Tom.
No, my
better
number
be a
one is a
crossover.
crossover.
Oh,
There is
okay.
no three-way crossover.
I
and
was
also,
wrong. I was so wrong.
I thought it would be a three-way crossover because I thought my number one was on Chris's list, which makes me think, is it in his top 10? But it brings the list full circle all the way back to the very beginning game, which was yours.
Oh.
And that is
First rat.
First Rat, which blew my mind because, again, I thought it was a kid's game. And it is not. It's really, this is my current, someone comes in like, I'm looking for a game to play. There's 4 of us. I don't know what to play. We got 45 minutes or an hour. And I'm like, done.
How do you feel about rats or the space program?
Actually, I really like talking about how I'm still not convinced any rat has ever made it to the moon. But we think they made it to the moon. We're like, yeah, good job. I'm sure he's there living a great life. And for all we know, the rocket ship just falls into the river and then the rat drowns and dies.
What?
I know. I play a darker version of games than you do, Z. But I like this a lot. It offers that whole idea of moving forward, but you can reset sometimes. Right. You're trying to figure out what strategy you're going to go. You're going to go for a lot of cheese. Every time I play, I pick something different. There's not that many strategies.
Sure.
But it plays quickly. I like the art. There's just something about this. The title is particularly not easy to read on the cover. Just all you see is the word is rat. But man, I just find this one to be really fun.
Yeah,
So.
I agree. This is one that it could have made my surprises list for sure because
Well, you were the one who told me to play it.
I was, and I'm very reticent to do that because of the
Me
amount of
too.
times, right, where we come in, oh, I think you'll like this game. Brah, hated it, right?
That happens here more often than you all might think.
Don't tell me what to think.
We're all like, you might like it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like whenever Tom asks me if I think he'll like a game, I like go into how can I be as emotionless as possible.
You
How can I
might
betray-
like this. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, Tom. Why don't you try it for yourself and
You
find
sound
out?
like HAL 9000 over there.
I'm afraid I can't tell you that.
Perhaps you'll like it, Tom. Perhaps you won't. Only you know the answer.
See, this is what Mike's actually like off air.
Correct.
See, this is the thing Mike's like,
I power down.
all right, well, there you go. Our top 10 surprises for the year. Now, that's it for surprises. The next 3 days, we're going to be doing top 10s. All different people here at the Dice Tower will be giving you their top 10s, and we'll see. I know some of them. Some I don't know a lot of them. And that's it for now, but we're going to be back in 18 minutes playing.
Trekking through history.
Ooh, that's a good one. You're going to want to watch. It's going to be on a different stream, so switch over to there. But anyway, thank you for everybody for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Mike DeLisio.
I'm Chris Yee.
I'm Z Garcia.
Surprise!
Whee!